Arne Slot has seemingly brought more control to Liverpool. I think most fans can see that. The build up looks calmer and the structure looks cleaner. The team looks a little more organized. But I also think there's a growing problem that a lot of fans are starting to feel, even if they can't fully explain it yet. Liverpool are becoming too predictable against deep blocks. And when you read the comments after games, you keep seeing the same frustrations over and over again. Why do we look so easy to defend against? And why are attackers always isolated? Why does everything feel so slow around the box? And honestly, I think a lot of it comes down to the midfield structure. Because while Slot has improved the control, I think Liverpool may have lost some of their chaos. And against low blocks, chaos matters. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So let's start with the current structure. Most of the time, Liverpool are building in some version of a 4-2-3-1 shape with a double pivot. Now, on paper, that makes sense. Two deeper midfielders really gives you better rest defense, more protection in transitions, and more control during build up. And to be fair to Slot, it has helped Liverpool become a more stable team in possession. But here's the issue: when both midfielders stay deep, you create a massive vertical gap between the build up phase and the attack. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it. You'll often see the centre backs with two holding midfielders and then the front line completely separated ahead of them. There's no real connector occupying those dangerous central pockets consistently. So, what's happening? The attackers begin dropping deeper and deeper just to get touches on the ball. Now, suddenly, Salah's dropping into the midfield, Szoboszlai is receiving with his back to the goal, and the strikers leaving the box. And the wingers are isolated wide against set defenses. And this is the key problem. When attackers are constantly coming toward the ball, nobody is pinning the position centre backs anymore. And that's huge because deep blocks love that. It makes defending easier. Everything stays in front of them. The back line never gets stretched vertically. And Liverpool end up circulating possession around the block instead of disrupting it. And this is where I think the bigger conversation starts. Because under Klopp, Liverpool were never always the most controlled team in the world. Sometimes the football was chaotic, sometimes it was transitional, sometimes it looked wild. But the chaos created fear. Teams couldn't settle. Liverpool overwhelmed opponents with vertical runners, third man movements, aggressive counter pressing, and constant occupation of dangerous spaces. Now, I'm not saying Liverpool should just go back to reckless football. That's not the point. Slot has solved genuine problems. Liverpool look more structured, more secure, more composed in possession. But football is always balance. And I think Liverpool may have gone slightly too far toward control, especially against teams that already want to sit deep. Because when the game becomes too safe, you remove unpredictability. And unpredictability is what breaks low blocks. So, this is why I keep coming back to the idea of a more aggressive 4-3-3 structure. Not because formations magically solve everything, but because of what shape or because of what that shape allows Liverpool to do spatially. If you play with a single deeper midfielder, whether it's Endo or a disciplined McAllister or somebody protecting the centre alone, suddenly the two number eights can play much higher. And this changes everything. Now, instead of Liverpool playing with two midfielders and a disconnected front line, you suddenly have players consistently occupying the half spaces between the lines. And that forces defenders to make decisions. Do they step out? Do they stay compact? Do they follow the runners? And the moment defenders start making decisions, space appears. And this becomes especially important when you think about players like a Florian Wirtz or a Rio Ngumoha. These are players who thrive around movement, combinations, and tight spaces, quick overloads. But if the structure behind them is too flat, they end up receiving the ball with entire defensive blocks already set. And that's the issue. Creative attackers don't just need possession, they need movement around them, runners beyond them, midfielders arriving late, defenders being dragged out of shape. That's what they need. That's what creates chaos in the final third. And honestly, I completely understand why so many fans keep asking for more Federico Chiesa. Because Chiesa is the type of winger that feeds off intensity. He wants quick combinations, aggressive transitions, overloads, runners around him. But when Liverpool's structure becomes too static, he risks becoming isolated, like we've seen. Exactly the same way that other attackers also do. And this is why I don't think this is only about personnel. Rather, it's all structural. And then there's Szoboszlai. And honestly, this might be the biggest example of all. Because I don't think Liverpool are fully using his strengths right now. When you watch Szoboszlai at his best, you're talking about aggressive carries, long range shooting, late box arrivals, vertical running, intensity in advanced spaces. But too often now, he's dropping deeper, covering larger defensive spaces, helping progression from far away from the goal, and doing a lot of the dirty work in deeper areas. And while he can do that, I don't think that's where he becomes most dangerous. A more aggressive 4-3-3 could allow him to become a true attacking 8 again. The kind of midfielder that arrives around the box and creates panic. Because right now, I think Liverpool are controlling games without consistently threatening teams. And look, this isn't me saying Arne Slot is failing. I think far from it. I actually think he solved several important problems already. But football evolves. And sometimes fixing one issue creates another. And right now, I think Liverpool have become a little too safe, especially against deep blocks. Too flat, too predictable, too easy to settle against. And maybe the next evolution of this team isn't less control. Maybe it's reintroducing controlled chaos. But I want to hear from you. What do you think? Liverpool need to move back toward a more aggressive 4-3-3 structure? Or do you think Slot's control-based system just needs better players within it? Let me know in the comments what you think about that one. And if you enjoy tactical breakdowns like this, where we go beyond the headlines and really analyze what's happening on the pitch, subscribe to the channel because there's going to be a lot to discuss, especially about Liverpool's next season. Up the Reds.